Hello there. Two things to note. I got a green screen, that is thing number one, and I felt like it was worth mentioning because I've got some ideas. I'm not sure what they are yet, but I have some ideas of neat things that we can do, like that, or that. Wow, cool. Or maybe that. Wow, neat. Thing number two, I got some mail, some more mail from Danielle, I believe it is, yes. It was all smashed up because, thank you, U.S. Postal Service, but we'll see what we got here. It is a pin of some sort. Beautiful. Let's see if we can focus on that at all. Thank you, Danielle. This is beautiful, and this is fine. We got another one. It's from a T Brown. A T Brown. I know who you are. I know all your aliases. You can't trick me. Is it birthday all year if the gifts keep coming? I mean, is this for Easter? Are we celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus? Or are we still celebrating me? Either way, Jesus ain't getting this gift. This is mine. All right, we are in. Oh, God. So there's another package within a package. Oh. It says, Dan Smotz, you are cool. And it's written like it's from a serial killer. That's fun. More than you guys' gifts, I love your arts and crafts. An inflatable globe. Maybe we can set it on fire and make a video out of it. Not all superheroes wear capes. We wear masks. It's a bunch of pro-COVID stickers. My good man Dan, I wanted to send you a small token of long overdue appreciation for all the joy you've brought to me and all the downers over the past 5+ years before our full-blown societal collapse makes it impossible to do so. Send my best to the family, blah, blah, blah. Love you. Love you too, sir. I don't know if you want me to read your name. Oh, damn. Lots of kratums. Got some, lobster suckers? And a Maine Maple Products Maple Lobster. Just thank you, Maine. Thank you for being so fucking weird. That was the best lobster I have ever tasted. That is just pure straight sugar, isn't it? Thank you very much, Mr. T, and thank you very much, Danielle, and thank you to everybody for the warm wishes and lovely gifts, no matter what time of the year it is. If you would like to send your own, you can send it to P.O. Box 84, Aledo, Illinois 61231. That is in the show description. Send me things, and I might open them on the show. Speaking of the show, let's get the show started right now. We've got a great one for you today. We're talking about, you remember that January 6th thing? Apparently that was an inside job. Shocking. Also, it's International Women's Day. Wow, how are we going to celebrate? We're going to have Karlyn Borysenko on to talk to us all about women. She was just the closest woman to me at the time, and I was like, hey, let's so we've got some fun stuff. We're going to talk about all the news. We're going to roast it up and have a good laugh. So I'm about to roll this intro, and you're going to go out and share it with your friends. Not just your friends, but your enemies also. Anybody who you think needs to, learn a little bit here and there, but mostly needs to chill out, enjoy life, have a good laugh, and watch the world burn together. Because as the world burns, what do we have left except for laughter and each other, I guess. This weird little family that we have. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get weird.
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
I would ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that. I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves were possessing weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda.
Handle the truth.
I remember that with that smoke. We are still here.
We have to say yes to social justice.
Let's get him over the water and then turn the friggin' broadcast.
Glad you want to know, tomorrow. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
That's right, it is a big club, and you're not in that one, but you're in this one. Well, at least most of you are. If you're here, you're family. We're like Olive Garden around here, and we're just as cheap and whorish and a little bit dirty, but we do our best. And you guys in the Downers Club are the ones that keep the show going and growing and getting bigger and better, more beautiful every week. People like Grumpy Gnome, RJ, JC, Justin Zavoy, Justico Mitchell, Silas Lane, Joey Ferguson, Dave versus Goliath, Matthew Walrus, Osmotaz, Buckshank, and Alex something, Alex, another Alex something, Zareth Anarchy, Heffalumps, Woozles, Vanzot Media, Jack Casey, Rick Duran, Javari, Craig DeCosta, Joe Kabinski, Derek Evans, Howie Snowden, Brian McWilliams, Mary Rome, Justin Zelensky, whole bunch of other people. If you don't get your name on that list and probably have it read incorrectly someday, go on over to patreon.com/the system is down and sign for the Downers Club today, where you can get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more weekly content. And I'm talking really fast because this intro has gone on too long, and our guest today has only so much time, but join the Downers Club today if you like it. We're going to talk about some news. I don't think we're doing an after party today. I've got a lot of things going on this weekend. Things that like LPNC, I'm going to be speaking at that with Larry Sharp and a bunch of other people, Chase Oliver and some names that I'm not familiar with, but we'll be friends by the end of the weekend. Also LPF Con, April 21st through the 23rd. With Spike Cohen, Maj Touré, and a bunch of others. And then, of course, Pork Fest. I will be there, and I hope to see you all there as well. Now, we're here for the news, and I can't do the news alone. Or I can, but I don't like to. And when I don't like to, I like to bring on friends. And my friends today are Dave Casey, as always, and the amazing Dr. Karlyn Borysenko. Doctor, how are you? Doctor?
I'm doing well. When you see Chase Oliver, tell him to unblock me on Twitter, please. Ask very nicely. You can convince him. I know you can.
What should the olive branch be that I send him in order to persuade him?
I want to talk to him. I actually want to talk to him, and I want to hear about what he thinks, but he preemptively blocked me because, apparently I'm a horrible human being, and so I just want to talk to him. That's it.
It's because of Hitler. It's because of Hitler, isn't it?
I have no idea. I mean, there are perfectly good reasons to block me, but I just, I sometimes like to have a conversation with people before they decide I'm a horrible human being, and I was impressed with what he did in Georgia. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I'm sure he's impressed with the Hitler thing, too.
Well,
It's funny that as soon as I post anything about you anywhere, it's like, oh, you're having her on to talk about this, and it's the same fucking Hitler thing that you and I have discussed on this show and on your show like many times already, but it's never good enough.
And it's always the same unhinged lunatics that are doing it. Am I right?
I'm sure it is. Yes, at least the one. Yeah, they're very adamant. Are these? Do you know at all who these people are or what they're?
I know who all of them are.
They're fat, sad men in their basement?
Yes. Oh my God, they're awful. And actually, like in the past 2 days, we've even gotten more unhinged. I view this as like a comedy hour now, where one of them tweeted that she's literally talking about me with her therapist. I'm not joking. Like, I've gotten into her head that badly. And the other one tweeted that because I went to Peru to do ayahuasca and to go to Machu Picchu, I was obviously going to sacrifice children on Machu Picchu. So this is the level of that I'm dealing with here.
How was the weather? How'd the sacrifice go?
It was a beautiful day. I can't complain. The sun was out. It's Machu Picchu is great. It's a
children were glowing bright. Yeah.
The children were glowing. Exactly. You got to just in Peru, you got to do what Peruvians do. Apparently.
That's right. You don't want to be a racist. Now, yeah. How have you been lately? I know you dropped your book since last time you were on here. How's that going? How's all the stuff in Karlyn land?
I mean, it's going really good. I mean, the book is good. I'm actually like really doubling down on just downloading all the information that I know about the woke left ideology into people's brains. I just launched a program called the Schools Exposed program, which I did a crowdfund for last year to be able to build it. And people generously donated $17,000 to help me build a program to teach parents how to find out what the schools are teaching their kids with publicly available information. And so we've got an online course room. We've got on-demand videos. I teach them how to go and dig through school websites and read their documents and speak their language. And the type of crap that we find on these websites with schools, schools put it all out there. The problem is that people just don't know where to look for it. So I'm having a great time.
What are some examples? What are some of the worst things that you have taken part in the exposing of?
In the Seattle public schools, we found a whole library of videos where they were literally reading children's books about being trans. And the person who was doing it, of course, was not like a normal human being. They were like a flamboyant, not quite drag queen, but like really flamboyant human being that was reading these books, and they have kindergarten level all the way through 5th grade. And it's an official book kit that's used in Seattle public schools. Right now, we're working on a series in Michigan where the Michigan Department of Education is quite literally training teachers that the teachers do not have a legal obligation to tell parents if kids are using different names and pronouns at school than what relate to their gender. They're training them to essentially groom kids live on the internet. I've got videos about that. We did a spy stream about autistic sex education. Very pertinent to the Libertarian Party. Apparently, there's a whole curriculum now where autistic children can learn how to masturbate from these trainers that are more than willing to teach autistic children how to masturbate and
Wait,
use
do
sex
autistic
toys.
people do it differently? Have I been doing it wrong this whole time?
I don't know.
Are they just a little
not down up, you weirdo?
They're just a little bit more technical about it.
So we find all sorts of crazy stuff.
Nice.
Except it's real.
Nice. I mean, not nice, but nice that you're doing the work to expose it. Quick question: what's your stance between drag queen story hour for kids and mass school shootings? Which one do you think is worse?
God, why would you do this to me, Dan? I hate you. You're such a dick. I mean, I don't, you know what?
It's the conundrum game show that we're going to play with Jon Stewart later.
I don't do it as my place to judge. I just show parents information and documents, and I allow them to make their decisions for themselves.
But so better than mass shootings in schools?
I'm not answering this question. You're such a douche. Trying to get me in trouble. There's going to be like a video on the internet before this is over. Karlyn endorses mass shootings in schools and drag queen story hour.
Yep. There's no winning in my polls. It's fine. No. We're all here to lose together. But yes, you are a woman, allegedly. I don't want to make any assumptions.
I'm pretty sure. Don't fucking misgender me.
Okay, well, you may be a doctor, but I don't think that you're a biologist, so I'm not even sure if you are allowed to decide and determine your own gender, but you identify as a woman.
Now. I do, yeah.
Okay, so what are you doing to celebrate International Women's Day?
Nothing. Like what? I have no plans. I'm gonna stream on the internet in a little while, and then I'm gonna write some stuff and try to not think about it being International Women's Day. Maybe I'll watch some Dylan Mulvaney videos. That will really piss people off.
Yeah. You should do that. Just do an entire night stream of all Dylan Mulvaney videos to celebrate National Women's Day.
I actually did a Dylan Mulvaney stream probably a couple months ago, so maybe it's time for another one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's never the wrong time, really, to celebrate women in the right way.
Is Dylan Mulvaney at the level where Andrew Tate would want to fuck him over a natural woman?
Andrew Tate is insane.
Is he there yet?
Have you guys been looking at the tweets that Andrew Tate is sending out? Because he seems to think he has godlike powers.
No, I have not seen the latest.
Oh,
I went on an Andrew Tate. I was talking about Andrew Tate on the show a couple weeks ago when the whole shit was going down, and somebody sent me a bunch of like the interviews of him going on Your Mom's House and stuff like that, like funny shit. I got obsessed with this guy for like 24 hours straight. Then I woke up next to a dead hooker, so I decided to go a different lifestyle.
That's usually the way it goes. But no, Andrew Tate is legitimately insane, but it's like one of those things. It's like with my haters on Twitter where like you sit back and you watch it and you're like, this is actually kind of entertaining. It's so unhinged. Yeah. And then I kind of think about what happened in the world. Like people were broken during the pandemic. I really do believe this. The pandemic drove people insane because it drove people, and I'm not saying I think Andrew Tate was insane anyway, but like the pandemic drove people into these online spaces and then they never left. They just stayed in the online space, and they think that's the real world.
The MMA probably broke Andrew Tate's brain.
Yeah, probably.
Got hit one too many times. And he's like, I'm going to do this to women.
I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be celebrating Andrew Tate for National Women's Day.
Let's do it. Andrew Tate, National Women's Day. I actually have the great Donald Trump's head here on my desk because I thought it was fitting for International Women's Day, as he is nobody loves women more than Donald Trump does, I heard. Karlyn, you were a Donald Trump supporter. How do you feel about his love and appreciation of your kind?
Oh gosh, Trump, you gotta love Trump. Trump is hilarious. Trump is, Donald Trump can do few things wrong in my eyes. If as long as it's strictly from like an entertainment value of sitting back and watching him, I love it. I wish he would get back on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be president, but okay, that's about it.
I want you around, but I just don't want you calling the shots. I mean, it
want
could be
you-
worse, obviously, but I don't want you there either.
The value of Trump is the entertainment value. And I think he would have done a better job than Biden. I do, if I had to pick between the two. But Trump is hilarious.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, but I worry Trump's gonna get arrested. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't. Would that be bad? I mean, what do you think they would get him on finally?
Probably something related to taxes. I mean, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. What do you think, Dave? Sorry, we're
what they-
steamrolling you here.
No, it's good. I appreciate it. That is what they do when they can't get you on something else, right? With gangsters like Donald Trump or anybody else.
Mhm.
Yeah, some tax evasion or something like that. But I don't think so. I've never seen a bad guy go down, and I'm pretty sure he's a bad guy. So I don't know. I've never seen any bad guys go to jail.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail this with Trump talk. We're here to talk about the most important thing, which is, of course, women. Hershey's decided to celebrate women the best way they know how this week by running this.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the executive director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the women changing how we see the future at Hershey's Canada.
Of course it's Canada. Of course it's Canada. Her for she.
Canada.
What does her for she even mean as like a branding slogan? I'm not a woman. I can't speak to this.
I have no idea. Like, I actually thought it was kind of clever to go Hershey. I was like, all right, Hershey,
Right.
I can give you some credit for that, whatever. But I don't know. Like, I mean, does any like I have no idea. I have nothing to say. I'm sorry. I'm failing. I really have
It's
no
all right.
comment on this.
It's all right.
No, who is it for though? Because I don't think that
It's for
women
she.
really think. I mean, for she, right? It's for she, but I don't think women would like that. I found it gross. Like I'm like, this is just gross. You know what I mean? It doesn't make me want to have a snack or a piece of chocolate or anything.
No.
So I don't know.
It's not sexy. It's not like chocolate. It could be like very sexy, or it could be like, romantic or playful or fun. And this is like none of those things. Like, candy should be playful and fun and irreverent. And it's like, no, I just feel like I'm being
This is-
forced to do a virtue signal.
Yeah, even if there wasn't a trans woman in this ad, it would still be annoying because like who cares what sugar poison chocolate bar thinks about your genitals or how you identify or anything.
But
Well,
if you're
women
gonna-
can have penises too, Dan.
Right, you're gonna virtue
That's why I say
signal for the
genitals.
ladies in Ladies Month, her she bar, and then you get a guy, a biological male, to be your spokesperson for the women's bar. It's it's
Right.
so many levels.
Yeah, I just don't know like who this is for exactly. Who is the trans kid out there even who is like, well, now I'm going to go buy chocolate bars. Are we supposed to see that as a noble thing that let's like give them all benefit of the doubt that they were just trying to speak to that one trans individual that felt alone and they're convincing them to go buy poison. Like there's no moral upside to this ad.
No.
Well, and I mean, let's be honest. Like, the Hershey bar in general is kind of like, no one gets the freaking plain Hershey bar when they're buying a candy bar. You're going to get something like the Snickers or the Milky Way or even like a Payday or something like that. It's boring. And this doesn't make it any more appealing to me.
At least they had her on the cookies and cream one, so
I guess that's something.
They should put out a cis white chocolate bar, just like the most bland, boring.
That would actually be hilarious.
it's not even quite white, so it doesn't even look appealing, just like a
Right, it's
beige, like
beige.
flesh
Yeah.
color. But yeah, I mean, I think they had, to my understanding, I didn't dig that deep into this because I really don't care, but to my understanding, they had like different bars that were the different people represented, and this the cookies and cream one. Was it like, was it a trans one represents the cookies and cream because it's like not quite white, not quite black, it's not quite chocolate, not quite vanilla, it's
It's
non-binary
non-binary.
chocolate. Yeah.
It's gender fluid. It can't decide. It could be a different thing on a different day.
Yeah, they definitely didn't want to go like Hershey's with nuts for that one because that would be a little too on the
No.
nose. But yeah, let's move on. Speaking of weird people, let's talk about Jon Stewart. Did you guys see the Jon Stewart clip of him demolishing the Republican to his face and breaking the internet, as many people are putting it on the internet? Did you guys see this clip?
Yes.
No, I haven't seen it.
All right, let's watch it.
I'll go you one further. You want to ban drag show readings to children.
To minors, yes.
Why?
Why?
What are you protecting?
Why can we prohibit children from voting, those under 18 from voting?
Why are you
but
banning?
Also that.
Is that free speech? Are you infringing on that performer's free speech?
They can continue to exercise their free speech, just not in front of a child.
Why?
Because the government does have a responsibility to protect.
I'm sorry?
The government does have a responsibility in certain instances to
What's
protect
the
children.
leading cause of death amongst children in this country? And I'm going to give you a hint. It's not drag show readings to children.
Correct, yes.
So what is it?
I'm presuming you're going to say it's firearms.
No, I'm not going to say it like it's an opinion. That's what it is. It's firearms. More than cancer, more than car accidents. And what you're telling me is you don't mind infringing free speech to protect children from this amorphous thing that you think of. But when it comes to children that have died, you don't give a flying fuck to stop that because that shall not be infringed. That is hypocrisy at its highest order.
Sure, gun.
So, if you don't like Drag Queen Story Hour and you're not taking away guns, then you don't care about children. That's seems to be his case here. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Dave, you want to go?
I will just say, look, if we could just get a non-wet noodle up there to represent somebody who is in favor of the inalienable right to defend yourself, that would be spectacular. But of course,
I like how you come out swinging against the Republican dude. You're just like,
It's
why
just
are
all
you
what it
sitting
takes.
there, you fucking dork? Say something.
right, dude, exactly. Jon Stewart is in his element. He does this so good. He assassinated that guy on television because that's what he does on behalf of Viacom or whoever like signs his
To the
checks.
public perception, that was an assassination, but his argument still sucks.
Oh, absolutely it does. Because it's very simple. You have an inalienable right, not because the government granted it to you via the Constitution or whatever. You have the right to defend yourself, and kids don't have the right to be put in front of a sexual performance artist. You know what I mean? That's at the end of the
Are
day.
you sure?
Again,
I'm pretty sure that was in the
Republicans-
Constitution.
Republicans will always lose this. I'm sure Karlyn would agree because these guys go half of the way and they don't. That guy couldn't make the argument because he can't defend it. And because he doesn't really care.
Let the woman speak, Dave.
problem.
It's National
Sorry, go
Women's
ahead.
Day.
You're right.
No, I mean,
Mansplaining.
I absolutely do agree that the Republicans are never going to win on this issue, but I think I have a different perspective. Like, I don't actually really care about the drag stuff. I really don't. I think that now I don't want it happening in schools and paid for with taxes, but if it's like a private drag show, I mean, and this might be controversial, parents screw up their kids all the time. Parents do things that are far worse to screw up their kids than taking them to a drag show. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's advisable. I wouldn't say, you know what you should do on a Sunday afternoon, take your kids to a drag show. I think it's dumb. But I also think it's kind of like, I think Republicans get really distracted with these things that if you don't want to take your kids to a drag show, don't go to the drag show. It's really that simple. If there are other parents who want to take their kids to the drag show, well, you know, they might screw up their kids. They may not. Who really knows? Like, you know, I mean, I think probably all of us saw R-rated movies when we were kids and like we turned out
Not me.
relatively normal. Oh, that's right.
I only
You-
watched
you-
VeggieTales, and I turned out really normal because
yeah,
of it.
exactly. You turned out just like perfect, like the perfect example. But I think it's like the same thing with the book banning in schools. It's like these things are distractions and they're battles that the Republican Party are never going to be able to win. And every time they're focusing all of their energy reeing and complaining about these things to whip up a moral panic, I think that they are overlooking the fact that while they're doing that, the left is integrating all of their insanity into actual school policy. So it's like the drag shows and the books are like the magician's assistant that is like wearing the sparkly dress and spinning around the stage when the real trick is integrating it all into policy. But the Republicans are so distracted, they have no hope of ever seeing where the real trick is.
Real quick, I agree with that too. I would only say that, like, as a libertarian, I spend most of the time when I'm trying to think about an issue where I would land is, what are you willing to throw somebody in a cage for, right? So it's usually something like a violent crime, coercion, theft, these kinds of things, right? Rape, murder. But you have to think of what is child abuse too? Like what is that? And if you are on the side of, okay, man, taking a 5-year-old into a sexual performance where there's naked adults gyrating and doing whatever, this is all subjective, right? I guess, whatever. I would say that that's child abuse. So it's not like Well, to each their own. You can raise your kids however, because I would say just because you want, right? If you got a parent who has a biological male son, and that son at 5 years old or 6 years old or 8 years old comes up to mom and says, "Mom, I'm a girl." And mom says, "You know what? I agree with you. Let's take you to the doctor and get you affirmed." And the doctor says, "You know what, mom and son? You are a girl." Well, now you have this consensus of like healthcare provider, parent, and child. It's still not okay to chop that kid apart and to put them on hormonal drugs.
I think, Karlyn, is what you were saying more like, yes, these things are both bad, but we need to prioritize on the people who are making it mandatory in our public school system right now, or am I?
I think that's closer to what I'm saying. Is I think there are things that are worse than other things, and I think that it is very easy if you think that drag shows are bad for kids. It is extraordinarily easy to not take your children to a drag show. It's like you're not just going to trip and accidentally wind up sitting front row at a drag show, right? Like that's something you have to proactively seek out.
And worry about your kids first, and then we can worry about other people's kids.
Exactly, and I think that I do think that we are actually in a moral panic right now that's been spun up by the Republican Party and by the Christian conservatives, and no offense to any Christians who might be watching, but I think that it is a giant distraction that is going to allow a lot worse things that are a lot more damaging to society get through, because people are so crazy about this stuff right now. Again, a lot of kids watched R-rated movies when they were kids and they turned out just fine. And again, if you don't want your kids to watch it, then just don't allow them to watch it. Don't read the books. It's that easy.
It is a fine line, because I mean I certainly grew up in a family where it was morally reprehensible to, I don't know, let your kids watch some PG-13 movies, some rated R, I mean all rated R movies obviously, but like the moral line on that type of stuff, on what it is a question of what is child abuse and what is actually just your opinion. And as a libertarian, I have a hard time, because I'm like, I agree with Dave. Yes, absolutely. This is, but also I don't know where that line is exactly, because I would say the same thing about, if a parent leaves their porn magazine out on the table or something and their child finds it, but I also don't think that person should be locked up for that thing that they did. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, gentlemen, I got to bounce, but thank you for having me on, Dan. And maybe
January 6th, was it an inside job?
Oh, obviously it was an inside job.
The most obvious news that we'll ever report on here. Karlyn, you're awesome.
Guys. Good to have a good one.
You too.
We'll talk to you later.
We'll talk about you while you're gone. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Bye, guys.
Bye. Everybody, check out her show on her channel. You know where to find her. You can find her. I wish I knew offhand. Activelyunwoke.com, I think, is her website, and I think she has links to all that on there. So just in time for her to leave, and now we can talk about how wrong she is about this drag thing. Dave, I'll let you actually tell us how you really feel now.
It's safe to say that I won the debate. She didn't know what to do. Peaced out.
That's right.
Right.
We should retitle this like Karlyn walks off show in the middle of drag queen story hour debate with Dave Casey.
Oh yeah, I've seen your edits, dude. They're phenomenal. So yeah, we should do that.
We can make this real heated. I'll just go clip something of her like yelling something at one of her haters or something. And
all I'll say is, I know I would have said this if she was still here, but like this is one of those things you have to work out in your head, and it does suck. It's like the abortion thing. Like I don't know, man. I hear there's arguments on both sides. You don't want to call, as a libertarian anarchist, talking about like what you would call child protective services over.
Right.
Like they're the worst.
Right.
You know, I mean, this. I do not take that shit lightly. It's just like,
and that's the thing. Like if you saw a parent taking, like just walking, holding their kid's hand toward a drag queen show, would you call the cops? Is it child abuse to the extent that you'd call CPS on them?
If the cop would stop that kid from going in there, yeah.
Would you call CPS on them, knowing that kid's still going to go in there, come out, and then he's just going to have his life ruined by the government throughout the rest of his life?
Man, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you gauge this abuse, like, and what it does to a kid. It feels so evil.
Yeah.
What, and I'm not like these parents. I don't think they know that they're absolutely insane and doing all this damage. If they did, I don't think that they would do it.
I think they're being inclusive. That's what they've and I say this a lot, but like, we got to give a little bit of benefit of the doubt, because these people are literally being brainwashed by some of the strongest like propaganda pushes our country has ever seen, our world has ever seen. I've certainly ever seen in my lifetime. Just the amount of bombardment with these just subliminal messages and sneaking things that it started subliminally. Now we've got HimShe bars, candy bars pushing trans stuff onto people who buy candy bars for some reasons. Like, I don't care if you're an adult and you're trans, but hey, maybe like candy bars aren't the place to sell that, or I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. What do you do?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't think, like, even if it weren't the trans thing, like I just don't think. I think there's something really sick and evil and twisted about introducing sexuality into everything, into chocolate bars,
Into
like
anything with kids,
like
anything with kids.
Yeah, it's just weird. It doesn't. That's not inclusive to teach about sexuality. Like, I don't know. How did we get there? It didn't take long. One generation, dude.
Not even. Like, when I was a kid, it wasn't even one generation. I mean, it's been like 15 years since I feel like this woke shit started to where we are now, where it's like, if you don't accept I don't know, just dude, whoever has whatever, then you're a bigot.
I heard today a clip on TikTok. There was somebody uploaded like a recording of Richard Nixon from like 1973. He's like, you're not going to believe this show I saw on television. Had this guy, like promoting homosexuality, and like, this is going to be the downfall of everything, and this is what the communists want, and you'll see, like, one day this is going to make a weak society. I know. I'm like, oh my God. He was talking about All in the Family. He's like, that's the show with Archie Bunker, like who would have been like a hero in the 50s, right? But they introduced the character of the hippie son-in-law to be the smart guy and like kind of make him look stupid and like buffoonish. And he's talking about it like, oh, it's like the first example that he had seen, and he's just like, this is the first of slippery slope.
Nixon had the foresight.
Right. 50 years later, you know, damn.
Yeah, that's where we're at. Nixon was right. Hashtag Nixon was right, I suppose. And wasn't he the one who was talking about Bohemian Grove too?
Yeah. I swear, I never would have thought in a million years that I would ever be like, oh yeah, you know what, Nixon. Like everybody else.
I mean, what did they take him down for? For wiretapping? Are you kidding me? That's like the least of our concerns at this point. That's just That's just Tuesday.
This is like the cops thing. You can just kind of go after who you want to, like selective. Enforcement.
Yes. Speaking of hacks and general fuckery, let's talk about Russell Brand and this MSNBC thing that happened that was just so glorious, and God bless him for doing it. Did you see this clip of him actually on MSNBC?
This one's older, right?
It's from June 17th, so it's it's a bit old. But this
Wait,
is
of this year? Are you sure?
It says June 17th up at the top. So
okay. I think this is his older one if it's got Mika on it.
Yeah, I'm surprised this didn't come up to me sooner. But the reason I found this is people were sharing this around because of the Bill Maher thing where he references this clip here. So we'll play this clip first, and then we'll get into some of the Bill Maher stuff. But frankly, I think this is even more fun to watch because it's on. I mean, Bill Maher, he is what he is. He's pretty squishy on the issues, but MSNBC is MSNBC, and seeing Russell Brand go into the belly of the beast and ridicule them to their face and just they don't know what to make of it. This is a pretty uncomfortable video to watch, which fills me with warm, fuzzy feelings inside.
So people, I mean, you have a pretty broad range here. I'm going to ask a serious question. Can I try? I'll try.
Try. It's never going to work.
I'll try.
Go ahead.
Everyone asks, what do you like better, TV, movies, or stand-up? Which one's more difficult? I mean, going on stage, I think, is probably pretty tough. A movie can be boring because you shoot a thing 100 times. TV is what it is.
There are challenges in all of those different disciplines. The thing I enjoy most is stand-up comedy because you're direct with your audience. You can't be misinterpreted. People can't get confused. You know what happens if you work in media? People like to change the information so that it suits a particular agenda. If you're in a room with people, then what you're saying is clear. If you say something that people are confused about, you can explain it to them then. If you say something as a joke, people can't pretend that you're saying it seriously. So I like having direct communication with people because I believe people are very, very intelligent, but the information gets manipulated a lot and people like to cause, like, fake stirs and stuff.
The accent, when I see him in person, it's totally fine. Forgetting Sarah Marshall or the TV show, it's fine. But on satellite radio in the car, I can't understand a single joke you say.
You can't understand it.
Can you understand me?
Yes, but no, I'm telling you, when I'm driving in the car and everyone's laughing in the audience.
I mean, what kind of journalism is this even? To be like, hey, guy, tell us about yourself. And he's like, I like to connect with people. And then he's talking about when you're in a room, like, first off, he basically calls them out to their face and says, when you do these clips and things, when the media does these clips and things, then it's very manipulative and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's basically just setting it up there. And then he moves on to, I like to be in the room with people so you have the real interaction, the real, personality and everything. And the guy's response to that connection conversation is to turn to the lady next to him that he's comfortable talking to and being like, well, he sure seems like a nice fellow. I can't understand a word this boy is saying, but it's so telling of who these people are. It's so fake.
They're awful people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no idea what he's saying.
It's best you focus on your driving, Brian. You're a man, you don't want to be distracted by humour. You might crash into a pedestrian.
Okay. So it's a good thing.
I think it's probably for the best.
I think I'm just
And she's like not even looking at him either. She's acting like he's not even there, which is so awkward and so uncomfortable to watch. She doesn't know what to make of it.
my first
Brand experience?
brand, yeah. I think it's not listening to him, it's experience. It's just sort of taking it all in.
You are talking about me as if I'm not here
transfixed.
and as if I'm an extraterrestrial. I'm from a country that's near to you.
Window dummy. We're just sort of admiring the whole, it's the whole thing, isn't
Well,
it?
thank you for your
like a
casual
sculpture.
objectification.
It's an experience.
I'm glad that it's positive for
It's
you.
very positive, absolutely.
Hey, bro.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Just so you know, this is 10 years old.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's still relevant. But yeah,
it's even more relevant now. But
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it'll play into the next bit. But yeah.
He's giving them the credit.
You've become
He's giving them
nervous.
the credit, the benefit of the doubt. Like he's going in there 10
Right.
years ago, like, oh, I'm trying to connect with
Right.
these people. Right.
Yeah, I was thinking
he's
this
come a
was to
long way.
promote his new shit coming out that he's going on all these other outlets to promote. But yeah, I guess this is old, and yeah, he talks about it. So this is giving you all the history as well.
Why are you nervous?
Really?
You're a powerful woman. You've got a lovely job. What seems to be the trouble?
I don't know.
You've got a hair like Princess Diana.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've never
When
seen
she was
that.
alive,
Here's
it wasn't
the-
being a
Here's a little subtext.
Yes.
I'm petrified of her, and you have her on her heels.
And she's just moved down the
I
other end of the table.
absolutely love this. Keep
Willie, what's
going.
What seems to be the trouble, love?
No, I'm good.
Well, now we're going to do a bit of therapy. Would you do therapy with Willie Brandt?
With who?
Willie Brandt. Would you do therapy with him?
I don't
Because
think.
that's where he's heading.
Okay.
Willie Brand.
I'm all right.
You shouldn't say he when a person is present. You should refer to the person by their name. That's basic good
That
manners.
is where Willie is heading.
Who is Willie?
I don't know. Okay, Russell Brand.
Is this what you all do for a living?
Yes.
Okay, I'm here to. Okay, well let me help you. I'm here to promote a tour called Messiah Complex. It's here for the people of America. I want the people of America to come and see me do stand-up. Go to russellbrand.tv where you can purchase tickets to see me. These people, I'm sure, are typically very, very good at their job. What is it you're conveying news to the people of America?
Yes.
People of America, we're going to be okay. Everything's all right. These are your trusted anchors.
Leaning.
Fast forward to today, we weren't okay. Actually,
Right.
it didn't work out. It went exactly the way he predicted it. But yeah, just beautiful him. Cutting them off and making them uncomfortable, doing their jobs for them. And not to call out anybody, but punk rock libertarians, this reminds me of my first time on your show when Otto invited me on, and then Otto wasn't there, and nobody else knew who I was. But just saying, you can go back and find that sometime.
That's
I just have
awesome.
those guys on. We've hung out in real life quite a few times, but for some reason the
They're cool,
podcasting
yeah.
never works out. They're awesome though. I love them. Yeah, your thoughts on this before we move on to the Bill Maher bit, Dave?
I think Mika was moist. I think she loved that whole thing. Other than that, no, man, I love that he, this was early on, again, 10 years ago, he started to expose them as the fraud that they are. Complete
Right.
CIA Mockingbird job. And
Maybe it
she's
never came across my, like, I wasn't paying that close attention back then. I wasn't doing the podcast back then 10 years ago, but yeah, maybe the reason why this wasn't as viral is the culture, and also the fact that it wasn't the things that he's calling out back then. Maybe I don't think they were nearly as brazen about it as they are now. So watching it
yeah.
now brings even more joy than I'm sure it did seeing it live back then.
Yeah. Yeah, this was still, like Obama was popular. They were, going strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's the daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski, who is, the architect of the modern day liberal world order.
Really? I don't know
Oh,
anything
yeah.
about that.
So she's got deep propagandist roots in her, and a complete, nepotistic hack. And you could tell there that she just didn't know what to do. Like
Right.
when
None of
somebody
them
with a
knew what
brain-
to do. Like they forgot his name. They didn't know who they were talking to. Like that.
You're right,
These are your journalists and anchors. They don't even know they brought me into their studio to interview me, and they have no idea who I am, and they're talking about me like I'm not here.
That was the worst guy out of all of them. The guy who turned to his friend to say, "Isn't this guy weird?" Like that's
Right.
that's so awful, dude. Like what? You're the worst kind of human being.
Yep, and hasn't changed in 10 years. But moving forward to today, Russell Brand references that clip on Bill Maher's show and ties into a whole lot of other just beautiful points that are just.
John, I've not known you long, but I love you already. But I have to say that it's disingenuous to claim that the biases that are exhibited on Fox News are any different from the biases exhibited on MSNBC. It's difficult to suggest that these corporations operate as anything other than mouthpieces for their affiliate owners in BlackRock and Vanguard. And unless we start to embrace...
Do you agree with his first point that all the media organizations are the same? Fox News, MSNBC, and everybody?
Yeah, for the most part. There's a whole lot. If you want to call it a difference, there's 9 liberal progressive networks to every one Fox News. So that isn't, I don't know, it's not the same.
And
to say,
all
they
those
have
9 are spending all their time calling that one extremist, terrorists, whatever. Like,
I kind of look at it like Trump.
I don't think they're exactly equal. I think that the 9 that are spending all their time demonizing the one that is on their own as the conservative, which, I mean, it's not even that conservative of a network for the most part. Like Tucker Carlson is Tucker Carlson. They do a lot of, I mean, they've bent the knee, and like, as far as like their principles and like conservatism would be like anti-woke everything, and they have ads for like trans stuff and different things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally, in certain ways, handled properly, but yeah, the fact that this conservative network is basically the only conservative network, and even they're like, yeah, the trans stuff's okay, and the gay stuff's okay, and this and that. Like, again, not that I'm saying that they shouldn't be like that, but if they are the conservative network, you would think there would be at least one organization that isn't going along with this stuff.
Right, and then you get into like Newsmax territory or whatever, these kinds of things that are just, the more you go, the more that's going to be fringe, because family values, Christianity, all these things are freedom, liberty. These are all Fox News talk points at this point to a whole sect of society, right? Where, it is totally the upside down. Freedom is slavery and everything else. If you want your freedom, then you're selfish and all it's the upside down.
So it's like Fox News is a little bit more honest, I think. I mean, certainly, I would say, especially
right
with,
now,
like,
maybe, but dude, they 15 years
with
ago,
the
they
wind.
were not. They still, Sean Hannity's the number 2 guy with his CIA lapel pin. You know what I mean? The Republican Party still wants Mike Pompeo, and Ron DeSantis is a maverick. Like, you guys are fucking pussies. Like, the deep state is deeply into the conservative movement. And I don't think that Fox News is separate from
they're not
that,
the extreme voice of reason. Basically, it's Tucker Carlson, maybe Greg Gutfeld, and I haven't watched much of either of them, really. It's just the clips here and there, but they're the only ones saying those things that they're saying, but I don't know what the rest of them are saying, because most people don't. I don't really care that much about Sean Hannity's take, because he's just a neocon, CIA loving, same.
And Tucker's, he's
Same
got
as
those
NBC.
points, and no wonder he's the number 1 voice on their channel. And I still think that sometime he's going to cash in on that cachet that he's built up.
Right.
Like he's going to sell something, probably a big war, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that surprised. But carrying on.
And also, mate, like, just spiritually, if I may use that word in your great country, we have to take responsibility for our own perspectives. I've been on that MSNBC, mate. It was propagandist nutcrackery on there. I went on a show called Morning Joe. It was absurd the way they carried on.
Good Morning Joe.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It wasn't morning. There was no one called Joe there. No one could concentrate. They didn't understand the basic tenets of journalism.
No one called Joe there.
To stick up for genuine American heroes like Edward Snowden. No one was willing to talk about Julian Assange and what he's suffered trying to bring real journalism to the American people. And I think to sit within...
Thank God for that audience that felt the need to applaud right there. To push Bill Maher into, like, Bill Maher, we've watched this progression of, like, he just went with the shit during the COVID stuff, and even after he's usually like 4 months behind the news and actually what's going on in the world. But when he gets there, great. And I'm like, good, keep going. So when Russell Brand comes on and he goes on this tirade, it warmed my heart to see, you know, Bill Maher's audience applauding, because that's all that I'm sure Bill Maher really cares that much about this at this point is, do the people that are coming to see me or are still tuning into this thing that I've been doing for decades, do they still like it? All right.
Very Trumpian.
They do like that.
I don't care. Yeah. Watch my show. That's the important thing. Yeah.
Right. And if they like the things that are correct, then good. Maybe we can get some more based Bill Maher.
The castle of MSNBC throwing rocks at Fox News is ludicrous.
My friends,
Make MSNBC better. Make MSNBC great again.
My friends, I would. The moment
Fight them on a territory you can win on, Joe.
Russell, darling, the moment that you give me a specific example,
Do you know who this John guy is? This turtly man?
I think he's one of the Lincoln Project guys.
Really?
I could be wrong, but I think he's one of those guys.
They're not sending their best and their brightest, folks.
They are not. Yeah.
Like, if MSNBC heard that they needed to send somebody to go up against Russell Brand, I assume their strategy for this guy was like, yeah, we're not going to win this, so just send in somebody that, you know, he's going to get trashed either way.
Example.
Okay, I'll give you one.
Just wait.
Just we need a specific example.
How about let me tell you what the specific I'd like to hear of. I'd like to hear a specific example, a provable specific example of an MSNBC correspondent or anchor being on television saying something they knew was false, and we're saying behind the scenes to people, I'm about to go out, and we know that the election wasn't stolen,
You've
or something
illustrated this
equivalent.
example.
But I will go out on television and say the opposite. I will lie.
When's my answer?
Just give me the specific example.
I understand the basic point.
Give me a specific example.
All right.
I'm with you. I think it's a false equivalency, Russell.
No, it's not. That's your own biases.
It's not about bias. It's a false equivalency because you don't actually know anything about any of these organizations you're talking about. You've been on MSNBC once. Big fucking deal.
My darling, it was more than enough.
You're out of your league, bro. You are. I can't believe he had the balls to do that. Like, you can
it's his network, and Russell Brand going on MSNBC. Like it's almost like he thinks Russell Brand is acting like he has clout because he went on MSNBC. He's like, dude, I work for MSNBC. It's like, but you know that this was like not the high point in Russell Brand's career, right?
Oh my gosh.
Russell Brand was not bragging about going on MSNBC. He was telling you how much of a trash network it was.
You have a single actual fact.
Do you want an example? Yes. The ludicrous, outrageous criticisms of Joe Rogan around ivermectin, deliberately referring to it as a horse medicine when they know it's an effective medicine.
Yeah, that's
what
not a bad
Rachel
example.
Maddow turning up on the TV saying, if you take this vaccine, you're not going to get it, when it hadn't been clinically trialed for transmission. You have to listen. Do you think you can improve America by determinedly and avowedly condemning Fox News without acknowledging that you're participating in the same game? Did you not just listen to Bernie Sanders, someone who plainly, legitimately believes in this country and believes it's possible to change, but is bound by corruption, is bound by the lobbying system? Surely it's clear.
Yes, Bernie Sanders is just a victim of the lobbying system.
How can you know so much? How can you be such an intellectual powerhouse, a force of nature? And he can destroy anybody he wants to. I mean, he's doing it right now. He's controlling the whole room.
Yep.
And he still believes that. It's absolutely tragic.
It's like these people that came in late to the game, like Russell Brand. It's like, I mean, Russell Brand was like a Hollywood guy. He was a part of the system hardcore. He was a degenerate, like, comedian, Hollywood actor. Katy Perry married him and then divorced him because he was too much of a degenerate for Katy Perry. Sexually degenerate, too much for Katy Perry. That's telling you something about the guy. So when he came out as like this spiritual guru guy, after that, I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, all right. But I've heard him out, and I mean, if he's making the good points, I'm down. Like, but it's like he came in at a point, and then he wasn't paying attention. Then he started paying attention, and then he like grasped on to everything from then on, and didn't feel the need to go back and look into people like Bernie Sanders or the endorsements of Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders wavering on pretty much everything. Even in the clip, I don't have it pulled up here, but the clip at the beginning of the episode with Bernie Sanders and Bill Maher, did you see that one?
No. Bill
Maher is talking, like, it's a panel and Bernie Sanders is on the panel, and Bill Maher is like, so tell us more about like the differences between like equity and equality. And Bernie Sanders can't answer the question. He just says, "Oh, I don't know if I have an answer to that question." It's like, bitch, that's like your whole thing, isn't it? Isn't that like, if you're a democratic socialist, isn't the difference between equity and equality extremely important for your entire message to make any sense? And it was just like, I don't know. The dude he's been in politics since like the mid 70s, which is, I don't know, probably 20 years after Dave was born and 10 years before I was born, somewhere around there. But
it's what you call a career politician. That's what that guy is. That's a career politician.
And in that time, as being a public servant, he went from chastising the millionaires and billionaires to chastising the billionaires shortly after he became a millionaire off of his book sales as a public servant. But I don't know. It's just like Russell, maybe keep going. Like, you're on the right track. But if you're talking about how Bernie Sanders is a victim of the system, Bernie Sanders is the fucking system. Bernie Sanders is like a big dumb pawn who will take whatever money he can get to be a part of the system. It's still.
For the record, I would still rather work with lefties like Russell Brand outside of the party than any regime types within the party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that energy. He hasn't mentioned economics once. I think he does. He might talk about the economic system or whatever, but even when he does that, he talks about, how the drug companies run shit and military industrial complex run shit. It's like, yeah, everything you're saying is right.
Right.
Like, it's enough for me to get on board with people like that.
Absolutely. I mean, as far as like establishment goes, Bernie Sanders is pretty establishment at this point, but I would still choose, working with a Bernie Sanders fellow over a Joe Biden fellow, because my chastising of Bernie Sanders is his endorsement of Joe Biden. I mean, I have other, obviously, issues with him, but it's like, if you're thinking at least a little bit outside of the system, I'm still more willing to work with you than any of these establishment types. So, I don't know. I mean, Russell Brand, you got some more learning to do, but keep going.
Bill, as one of the great pundits and experts and comic voices, that systemic change is required. Money has to be taken out of politics. We need new political systems that genuinely represent ordinary Americans so that we can overcome cultural differences. And bickering about which propagandist network is the worst is not going to save a single American life, not improve the life of a single American child, not going to improve America's standing in the world, and the world needs a strong America. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. So you have an obligation, a duty, not to condemn these people.
Yeah, I'm down.
Love it.
I love it.
It's great, man. I love how he's really good at politics. Really. Yeah. He leaned over to Bill Maher and goes, dude, you've been at the center of the cultural shit. Right. You're a comedian. Like, I'm looking at you, dude. If you're not going to say this, like, what? He kind of put him on blast a little bit, like, but also patted him on the back. Like, you should be sticking up for this shit.
Which is great because, Bill Maher, like, I don't know. He could be great. He's great in a lot of ways. And I feel like he would have a bigger audience if he was more honest the entire time. Like, I feel like a lot of it is just doing what he thinks the people want him to do, especially when it gets tough and you got to, keep up on the COVID stuff. But he was just kind of going with the flow. I feel like his show would be bigger if he, I don't want to say leaned into the Tucker Carlsons, but maybe even the Russell Brands, a leftist who is called a white supremacist because the left has gone batshit crazy. But just speaking honestly about things would go a long way for Bill Maher, I feel like.
I do too. I think most people, what keeps people away from being libertarians, that might lean that way, like Bill Maher or like Russell Brand, is that, or even Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
These guys have, they're really intelligent guys, high IQs, but they have faith in the systems in place. And they believe, I think all three of those guys would say, well, yeah, I mean, if you things are messed up now, but if you got the right people.
If you vote harder and give the right money to the right corrupt people, then they won't be corrupt anymore. Because money will change. It's been known to, if you give more money to powerful, corrupt people, it softens their heart and makes them less corrupt.
That's it, man. We
That's
just haven't spent enough. Yep.
That's right. We haven't spent enough to make them like us enough to take care of us like they're hired to do. But yeah, that's that. I didn't mention at the beginning of the episode, didn't make any of the normal announcements at the beginning of the episode because, I knew that Karlyn only had so much time, and I wanted to get at least the women's stuff out of the way. I didn't plan for her to come in and then have to go immediately after we were done with the women's stuff for Women's Day, but it worked out nicely that way.
I got 3 questions for a woman, and now that I'm done, get the fuck out of here.
What do you cook? What do you clean? And where do you work? It better be in the kitchen. But,
how many children do you have?
That's right. Fake super chats. I probably should have said. If you guys have something, you guys are lighting up the chats in different ways, and that's great. It's beautiful. But I haven't looked for fake super chats. But let me know if you have something that you want us to read in particular. Put fake super chat in all caps. Up there's one from Sharon. Let's see what she's got. Fake super chat. What does Karlyn think about Moms for Liberty? Well, Sharon, you see, I didn't get to these while she was here, so I can just answer for her. I'll just mansplain away. What does she think about Moms for Liberty? She loves moms, and she loves liberty, and so I bet the combination of the two, she's all for it, and especially if those moms take their children to Drag Queen Storia. She loves that shit, I hear. Just kidding. Karlyn has a lot of haters. I don't know why. She's delightful.
Because she knows how to monetize them and get in their face and make them write blogs about her. And that's brilliant. I mean, dude, she does it. Dude.
She spends a lot more time on her haters than I do on mine, but she also reaps the rewards of spending that time and cultivating that following. Because it is a following, whether they like her or not. They're obsessed with her even more than her fans are. But... That's why they drop into my DMs to let me know how bad I am to have her on the show, which is why I'll keep her coming back whenever I can. But, Dave, are you going to PorcFest this year?
I don't know.
Dave, go to PorcFest this year.
I'll try to
hang out with me and Karlyn and hopefully Jack Casey. I'm working on getting him out there, too.
I would love that.
Do it, man. Let's have a family reunion.
We had a good hang in Reno.
Yes, we did.
That's a good dude. Wearing his cape around.
Yes. Yep. He's me if I was just a little bit gayer. Like he's doing some of the weird shit that I've thought about doing, and then I'm like, too gay.
If I just wore all of my homosexuality on my sleeve,
right? It seems like a good time to play an ad for Jack Casey. You're not kidding. It's fine. It seems like a good time to play an ad for Jack Casey. I want to mention after these ads, as a part of these ads, the very last ad is a new video that I shot this weekend, and some of it was on my green screen. But this is for a company that you'll recognize, and they basically said, "Hey, have some fun with this," and I had some fun with it. And this is the premiere. I should have probably brought this up before now, but this is the premiere of the tinfoil ad. It'll be at the end of the ads, so not right now. This is just Jack Casey. You don't have to pay that close attention. Jack Casey books, gay stuff, whatever. But after that, new video. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by libertarian conspiratorial fantasy author Jack Casey. Whether you're looking for a 3-book fantasy sci-fi epic of love, death, and dystopian civil war like the Royal Green series, or just looking for a quick, dark, comedic, cultural commentary tale about a transsexual slayer of COVID regime vampires, like his latest book, WVW, Jack Casey Books will keep you adequately entertained and pondering the universe to your weird little heart's content. He's the Ayn Rand meets Stephanie Meyer meets somebody who actually writes entertaining books with his own unique little downer-esque flair. Find out more about Jack Casey Books at the aptly named jackcaseybooks.com. Once again, that is jackcaseybooks.com.
Today's episode is sponsored by Astero's Cybersecurity Services. These days, organizations of all sizes are targets for cyber criminals, disgruntled employees, or even nation-state attackers. Astero's performs cybersecurity services providing expert guidance to help organizations defend against threats and protect their data. Astero specializes in penetration testing, where they perform ethical hacking on networks, web apps, or organizations as a whole to simulate what an attacker would do and plug the discovered holes before anyone malicious finds and exploits them. Asteros also specializes in vulnerability management, security awareness training, phishing simulations, cloud security audits, compliance readiness assessments, and much more. As technology expands, it becomes easier and easier to run a business, but if your security is not growing along with your company, then you're going to run into problems. If you don't personally have a company of your own, definitely pass this information along to someone who does, because for a limited time, Asteros is offering companies an attack surface audit completely free. Let Asteros discover potential entry points to your network and how susceptible your company or organization is to cyber attacks. To learn more and to take advantage of this essential offer, just go to asteros.com/free. That's Asteros, ASTEROS.com/free.
We all know that guy. That extremist. That tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist. That guy who believes in UFO cover-ups, government mind control, COVID lab leaks, and Hunter Biden's laptop. And now that we know that all those things are 100% true, maybe you should take that guy's advice. You see, the term conspiracy theory has been used as an insult since the 1800s and popularized by the CIA to convince everyone that you're crazy if you don't trust the CIA's magic bullet theories. Nowadays, nobody trusts the government, and from mind control tech of the 70s to mass media propaganda of today, how even could they? But even if they're not reading our minds, our brains are being bombarded with radiation every day from cell towers, 5G, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. Even if you trust that all of Jeffrey Epstein's friends have your best interest in mind, they don't know the long-term effects of radiation on the brain. But I get it. You don't want to look like this guy. He looks like a homeless meth addict. Thankfully, we live in the future now, and not all technological advancements are evil, because now you can protect your brain while looking instead like this guy. His head is handsomely harbored in Project Tinfoil, the tinfoil hat of the future. He doesn't have to be self-conscious about his psychiatric security. He can confidently take on the world and the Illuminati in style. And when HAARP manipulates the weather this winter, his head will be cozy and clear, because Project Tinfoil is lined with a silver mesh that blocks up to 99% of EMF radiation. So whether you're at work or play, keep the lizards away. Project Tinfoil has got you covered. Now, it may not stop CIA mind control, but, you know, you may be wrong about that one too.
And that was the new ad for Project Tinfoil. What'd you think, Dave?
Bro, that shit was fucking awesome.
That was
I was
fun.
bagging up the whole time.
That was fun. There's a lot of Easter eggs in there too. There's a lot of stuff throughout the video that I would encourage people to go back and find, because yeah, I had some fun with it for sure.
That was really fun. I'll tell you what. Yeah, when I caught 9/11 on the microwave, that was really fun. You filmed all that, and who's that? The guy who owns the company, or just
no?
An actor,
that was a friend of mine who, like, I had one friend in mind for it for a long time, and he was up in the Wisconsin area, and it's been several months of dragging my feet on this stuff for a bunch of stuff going on in my life, and just didn't have time, didn't get around to it, wasn't in the mood, and finally worked it out. That guy wasn't able to make it, but I remembered another friend of mine whose name is Jonas. I don't know if he wants me to say his full name on the air, but good friend of mine from back in the day, and yeah, he's like into the conspiracy stuff and the libertarian stuff, but he's just like a real world friend before I was in the politics and everything. I totally forgot that he would be the perfect candidate for it, but he came, and you'll notice, like, I didn't know that he had the "Don't Tread on Me" tattoo on his chest. He literally has a "Don't Tread on Me" snake tattoo on his chest, so there's like a quick clips like that, like he was just changing his shirt for the shot, and I'm like, holy shit, like, we're totally using that. It worked out perfectly, and it was a lot of fun to do, so.
Yeah, man, that's really well done.
So thank you to Project Tinfoil, dude, for you know, letting me do my thing and have some fun with it. He's loving it too, and they're just launching, getting going, and they're new, so go support them. Certainly at projecttinfoil.com. I believe they're doing a giveaway from right now until the 14th, and after the 14th, the hats will be available for sale, more so, or something. I don't know. They're working out some things for their big launch, but that is a part of it. So go support them and support all of our sponsors, because they are the thing that keeps me going and paying for things more easily. I'd be doing this either way, I'm not going to lie, but they help and they incentivize us. Anyway, there's that. And speaking of things like conspiracies, let's get back to this January 6th thing. Did you hear about the thing that happened on January 6th, Dave?
Yeah, tour guides bailed on a group of
cosplayers,
LARPers. Yeah. This lady right here.
Oh, nice.
I was just wondering where Nancy Pelosi is.
I didn't even notice your shirt till now. That's great.
Top
yeah.
lobster.
Yeah, we've talked at length about this, and I mean, there's only so much even to say. Like, so the long and the short, the very short of it is Tucker Carlson apparently was given the footage, all the footage leak, or not leak, but like, I don't know how this happens, how Tucker Carlson is the only person that's given the footage by this journalist, and all the footage from January 6th, like 14,000 hours or something of footage. And I got to be honest, like, I watched the footage, and while the entire world is melting down about it, the Republicans are celebrating the victory and insisting that this man be released, which I agree with them on that. The left is saying that this is Tucker Carlson manipulating this footage out of context and making it into something to support right-wing terrorists. They're concerned that before the footage came out, before Tucker Carlson released it, their big concerns were they said, what if he only puts out clips where it looks like there's feds involved? Or what if he puts out clips that looks like it was just a peaceful protest? It's like, well, what if he does? What if he has those clips? Isn't that kind of the point of putting the clips out, is to show the people, give the people more information? And if it looks like there's feds, and if it looks like it was peaceful in different areas, is that bad exactly? Thoughts, Dave?
Man, it's weird, because we know what they want to do. We've talked about January 6th. We know what they want to do with that. They spent more time on that commission than they ever did with the 9/11 commission, right? Because they have a political goal to use that as the pretext for so many things. And again, that's because we have to hammer out ideas like individualism, freedom, liberty. Like, that has to get extinguished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go ahead. I was just saying, with the left and the right both reacting to this, like, extremely. Like, even the right, even though I agree that this is good for this information to be out there and it exposes the truth, I think that's great. But also, what in this footage? I have yet to see any footage. As somebody who, like, looked into it for 25 minutes at one point in my life, I've yet to see footage that shocks me or changes, like, how it was very obviously clear this went down to begin with from the get-go. Like, yes, the QAnon shaman guy is, like, walking through, like, the cops let him through. They're basically sending him on a guided tour. They go down. Let's just play some of the footage here. This is Tucker Carlson reporting on it. And it's not going to play because it's Twitter. I need to get the Jeopardy music for times like this.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside.
So to the audio listener, he's like being guided by cops behind him through the building. Like, they're not even in front of him. They're not trying to stop him. They're not escorting him out. They're leading him through the Capitol, and he's just kind of walking along. They're following him, making sure he's not doing anything, I assume. But they later on, they'll go and try and open doors for him, and when the door is locked, they'll take him around to another door. Like, what kind of an insurrection looks like this?
Once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood
there in that last clip, like, he's being escorted by a couple of guards, and then he walks through a doorway into like a hallway, and there's like 6 guards around just standing there. He walks right through them. Nobody cares. Like, he's certainly welcome, obviously. He's getting the royal treatment. He's getting better treatment than we would get if we went to the Capitol building, you know, not dressed like a buffalo. But it would be my guess that they're like, well, if you guys, you know, you have some grievances, this guy's clearly the leader. And that's the media's interpretation as well. If you look like that, you must be the leader to some degree. So you come with us. Let's escort you through. What do you need? And they walk him through until they get to the final chambers here, which this is not, I don't even think, new footage, but we'll talk about it after.
Down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th. The industry.
So that's that clip. But yeah, I had seen, you know, in the quarters, the main room, I had seen clips from that and him praying and him talking to the cops calmly and stuff. Like, that's not even new, but
nope.
I mean, if this is what it takes for people to realize that the entire mainstream narrative is complete and utter bullshit, great. It's kind of like a Project Veritas thing where it's like, yeah, it's great that you got, you know, the Pfizer guy saying that thing, but also we should have known that by now. So I'm kind of torn to where I'm like, good, because this will wake up the normies a little bit more, but
I don't think so, bro. I don't think this will wake up one person, because
Really?
like shows like the Daily Show are going out and on the assault, The View, right? Those bitches are going out there going, oh, you know what Tucker Carlson tried to do? He's trying to change the narrative by
Right.
showing another
peaceful
angle.
people. Yes.
Right. So he's gonna. I mean, but this should not be shocking, because if you get all of your news from CNN and MSNBC, and you have watched that for 5 years or whatever, or hey, you know, sometimes I spice it up and go to like CBS. You know what I mean? Like you're getting the same shit. Then I imagine like life looks a whole lot different. But I will go a little slightly more
I
conspiratorial.
just have too much faith in humanity sometimes, I suppose. Maybe it's the alcohol.
End of the day, you should have faith in humanity. But I think that those cops were probably a mix of useful idiots and people who were leading them to slaughter. Essentially, they need to make sure that the guy with the Confederate flag gets in the White House, because that's going to help Nancy Pelosi and Cheney. That's going to help them prosecute this January 6th insurrection, right? You got to get the crazy weirdos in there up front, put them in, you know what I mean? So I
Speaking
think
of the crazy weirdos, Heffalump says, fake super chat, Dave and Jack come to Porkfest with all us cool kids and everyone else. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you
I'll work
off.
on
It
it.
just seemed like
Work on it, Heffalumps. No, yeah, it's a good
time.
call. Yeah. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like, when I say I have too much faith in humanity, I'm like, I feel there has to be some sort of breaking point for normal people, right? Just people that are, even if they're in the brainwashing, there's got to be some point where they're like, oh, shit. Like, even if they don't talk about it, even if they don't admit, hey, I was wrong about this thing the whole time, there's got to be some point where people get to and they're like, it's shown so explicitly, even more obvious. I know it's been pretty obvious, but it gets just over the line to where they're like, I'm going to quietly just stop talking now. Do you think that there's any chance of that, or are we fucked?
Oh, no, there's definitely a chance of that, dude. And in fact, lots of the work that we do is like contingent on the fact that someday that will be the thing that happens.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't the mass awakening of the truth be great? I don't know. That's one of the things when I think about the silver linings of AI and, like, you know, the end of humanity as we know it. It's like, well, maybe these motherfuckers won't be able to lie about shit. You know what I mean? Like anymore.
Right. Yes. I mean, the vaccines created autism in young men, and then we grew up to be libertarians. Now we're trying to go against the system. Now they created the most autistic individual of all. They created the AI, who's like, I cannot accept your lack of logic, which in a world that is based entirely currently in our culture on the opposite of logic, and then you bring a computer into that thing where our logic is supposed to shift with the days. How's that going to work out? It's an interesting black/white pill. It's like, yeah, this is all going to come crashing now, but it'll be funny as fuck, and they're going to regret it.
Yep. That's where I'm at.
Speaking of, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. Speaking of people coming crashing down and AI is just regurgitating their programming, this wonderful individual, former host of The Man Show, where they had a lot of, very inappropriate humor and blackface and misogyny and things like that. This guy, this talk piece for The Establishment Now, is calling out Aaron Rodgers for being a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist. And let's find out why.
Needless to say, all this UFO talk has the tinfoil hatters going wild, including Green Bay whackpacker Aaron Rodgers, who offered this hot take on the Pat McAfee show.
I believe that this has been going on for a long time. Interesting timing on everything. There's a lot of other things going on in the world. Did you hear about the Epstein client list about to be released too?
What's that? What are you talking about?
There's some files that have some names on it that might be getting released pretty soon.
Oh.
Now, first of all,
how'd my uncles get on that show? Awesome.
Yes. I mean, the words that they're saying, correct, interesting things. Like, there's so many things to break down here, but I want to start with, like, yeah, these guys sound like stoned out of the, like, so stoned that it sounds like a libertarian convention or something like that. Like, oh, you hear about the this? What was that? It was like, it's like, yeah, the Epstein client list is a thing, but the big issue, obviously, with this is not Aaron Rodgers sounding dumb and them sounding like just plebs, but it's what they're saying and how Jimmy Kimmel sets up that clip. Because let's go back. The clip, again, is about the Epstein client list, the Epstein Island, the thing that is real, very real in real life, a thing that was on your stations and all the stations. We all accept that as reality, right? That there is an Epstein Island that Epstein was trafficking children to be raped by elitist pedophiles on a list.
I will say, dude, I don't think that that's what a lot of people think that he did. That's what we know that he did.
Are there really people out there that don't even...
People that watch ABC. ABC's line is, notorious pedophile Jeffrey Epstein hung himself.
Right. Or philanthropist. I've seen, they'll beat around the bush and call him whatever. Yeah.
But they're not... They don't make the deal about him being a human trafficker on behalf of Mossad and CIA. It's that he's a pedophile, right? So, like, problem solved. He's dead.
So is that the play now? Are they just like... It's a conspiracy theory if you think that there were clients to this pedophile who had an island that a lot of wealthy people went to.
This is the function of Jimmy Kimmel and these fucking whores. You know what I mean? To go to defend them to the death.
I mean, it's beyond me. Like I say that that those last clips with the Tucker Carlson thing, the January 6th thing, should really wake some people up. But it doesn't even compute to me that there are still people who think that Jeffrey Epstein didn't do what he did with the people that he did, with the children that he did them with. Like, have you met people in real life who don't know that they were trafficking children to elitist pedophiles?
I mean, I usually only talk about that shit with my internet friends because my friends and family get really pissed at me when I talk about other shit. So,
and
which is kind of
don't
weird.
want to know, yeah, which is even weirder.
You know, that's why memes like Epstein didn't kill himself or let's go Brandon. Like that's why they're so important because you can't stop it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I hope you're right that maybe most people know that, but I don't think so. I think that corporate news ingesters that just get that, if you're a boomer, dude, yeah, I think that most of them don't know that name or maybe heard it on TV a couple times, but aren't really concerned.
I still
probably
have hope.
think that it's done. Yeah,
I mean,
hope so.
I have my issues for the boomers, but I still have hope for the boomers. And honestly, the thing that red pilled me on boomers a little bit, believe it or not, was the QAnon shit. Because as dumb as it was, it showed like, yeah, they might have been duped, but they were duped to believe that the system was corrupt. And some of that lingers. Some of that holds over after you realize that Donald Trump's not your savior. Some of, like, you were taken to this point where you were willing to accept the government's full of shit. And so much so that you went down a CIA rabbit trail that was concocted probably by the government, and you bought into that too. But, you know, QAnon was controlled opposition from the get-go. He gave you some nuggets of truth that led you along. You have to have some nuggets of truth to convince people, to get them in the door. But once they're hooked, then they really get autistic about it seems. And I'm just hoping a few boomers were autistic enough to stick around and keep digging after to find out that, you know, it's not Donald Trump that's going to save you. But the things that were true, yeah, they were true. The Epstein shit, it's true. So much so that Jimmy Kimmel, who I'm willing to bet, you know, lingers somewhere in the second or third tier branches of the list, you know, needs to come out and lambast Aaron Rodgers before he talks about Epstein. Let's listen to the beginning again.
Needless to say, all this UFO talk has the tinfoil hatters going wild, including Green Bay whackpacker Aaron Rodgers, who offered this
Green Bay whackpacker Aaron Rodgers, because the alien, like, he ties it to UFOs and conspiracy theorists and crazy people. Just this absolutely crazy guy, Aaron Rodgers, like, which is absurd that, you know, we finally have some of these celebrities coming out and speaking up about truth and honest things. And no matter how famous they are, people like Jimmy Kimmel will still come out and be like, I'm big enough that I can get away with reading this prompt for me, because somebody has to attack Aaron Rodgers, even though
Right.
I mean, I don't know much about sports, but he seems like a beloved sports figure to my knowledge.
Yep, he didn't take the thing, and that's why they're still 3 years later. He didn't take it, proven right, and they're still. Dude, imagine
What a crazy man.
earlier on in the day in the studios with Jimmy Kimmel. There's probably 2, 3, 5, 6 writers in a room, all getting paid probably 7 figures a year.
Yeah.
To come up with that fucking joke.
Right.
This is military grade. Brought to you by ABC. What's their parent company? You know, GE, Westinghouse. I don't know, one of these. You know,
all the same.
Tied to all the same.
George
different store,
Soros,
same groceries.
Klaus
Right.
Schwab. I don't know. There's an
Well,
end to it somewhere.
Shit, they're all World Economic Forum approved as far as I'm concerned. That's why they get to do it. And yeah, you go on there and you attack the one football player with your whack ass jokes, your corporate approved. You know,
What do you think the
brought to you by
conversation
Pfizer.
is around the writers' table? What do you think the conversation is when they're like, so, like, do they get, do they go looking for news on their own, or are they? I mean, how would you come across this Aaron Rodgers clip from this podcast, and then go, like, how would you find it to begin with? Unless you're really like watching 5-hour podcasts at a time. But somebody found this, and they're like, we need to talk about that. That's one of the most important things tonight, is that we disagree with Aaron Rodgers on this clip that most people didn't see, but we think it's so important. Like, how do you get to that point, and what is the conversation around the table? Do they get literal? I mean, Operation Mockingbird is very real, and it's hard for me to think that no matter how big their team is for this shitty late night show, it's hard to believe that they came across this organically and decided on their own after a committee conversation that they needed to go out of their way to make sure that they run cover for elitist pedophile rings like Jeffrey Epstein. That is mainstream news, certified true at this point.
This is the network that buried the story when that reporter had it, and she even had it late. Like, Alex Jones had already had it.
Right.
I think Cernovich already, was talking about this.
I mean,
and
we
stuff.
were talking about this like probably a year or two at least before it came out. We were talking about the Epstein stuff because it was big in conspiracy land of people who were just, digging in and doing the research on their own outside of these shitty hack journalists.
ABC said, no, we're not interested in that because we want access to the royal family and we don't want to piss them off. So, no, we're good.
Yep.
Brought to you by Pfizer. Brought to you by Disney.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's so painful and cringy that it almost gives me hope. Like, it's so brazenly dishonest that
I get that.
I'm just like, good, please. That's that's panic. That's
I agree, dude.
They have nothing left to do but say, if you believe this thing that our network reported on 2 years ago, if you believe that thing, you're a fucking crazy person. Like, it's eating itself alive, and it's beautiful to watch.
100%, dude. I agree with that assessment. It is awesome. It's a sign of weakness. They don't know what the fuck to do. And that guy must have just. Now he's on record as saying, like, dude, I've wanted to be. He's one of those guys wanted to be famous since the time he was 7. His idolized Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
He wanted to be David Letterman since the time he was a kid. You know what I mean? So
How's
he
that going?
sold his soul. Well, he sold his soul. He fucking got what he wanted. All the fame, and now you have to do.
Well, he didn't. He will never have the legacy that Johnny Carson had, or anybody like that, because those guys were, at least to some degree, they were still allowed to be comedians and be funny and speak from the heart and chastise things that were going on. Like, just be honest about things that are happening in the world that might be uncomfortable. That's all it takes. And this guy can't do that. He just has to say what he's told. So he got the part. He got the skin suit of Johnny Carson, but he will never have the legacy or the longevity of him. And he's basically like, the joke isn't the things coming out of his mouth. It's him as a whole. Like, how hollowing out would that be to be a comedian who has this grand view of yourself that you're going to be that, and then they're like, read the script. And you're like, wow, that I don't know. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit to think that he might think twice about it, but how do you read that script and go, that's it? Or fucking what's his face? The vaccines guy, what's his name?
Oh, Colbert.
Yeah, Colbert. Like, these guys, like, they started out with something, and then they sold out so fast, and it's so flagrantly obvious to watch.
I think that the same thing happened to, these guys that happened to the music industry, right? Like, in the beginning, like, rock stars probably had tremendous power, like leverage with the networks or the labels and whatever. And same for Johnny Carson. Tremendous power with NBC or whoever he's on or whatever else.
They were raging against the machine, man.
Well, like, yeah, he can do whatever he wants, have on whoever he wants. Like you said, it's his show. And I think that they probably at some point did the same thing with politicians, right? Probably at some point, they're like, we need just an empty talking suit. And that's what the corporations figured out. We can just have guys that'll, like, do the job. So we can like neuter music. We'll neuter the television shows and everything else. It'll just
Jimmy Kimmel is the Rage Against the Machine, or the offspring of, like, punk rock. Like, punk rock, he's comedy, they're punk, but neither of them, he's not funny, and this guy's not punk because he loves the establishment sucking things. But
yeah, he'll say whatever it takes he's an influencer. Again, we're talking about that. If you want to be a comedian, you can have the #1 spot, 11:30 or whatever.
Right.
But you are the corporate spokesman first.
Right. Dave, are you caught up on South Park at all? Are you a South Park guy?
I haven't watched it in years, dude. But every time I do, I'm like, why do I not watch the show? Because they've been great for forever.
So me and Brian McWilliams of Lions of Liberty have been doing recaps of South Park in our Patreons for several seasons now, and mostly because they used to have a lot of, like, libertarian themes, and they have a lot of, like, controversial cultural stuff. Like, it's fun to break down, it's fun to chat about all the Easter eggs and fun things, but we kind of fell off for a while because South Park kind of fell off for a while in their messaging and their themes, and they're actually, speaking truth to power. But this latest season, Brian hit me up and he was like, hey, it's time. And I'm like, is it?
That's great.
Is it time? And yeah, the first couple episodes of this new season, we just did a recap of the first 3. Yesterday it came out on both of our Patreons, but yeah, comedy seems to have some sort of a revival, I think. And, like, this Russell Brand stuff and, like, the Chris Rock stuff that we didn't even talk about, where Chris Rock is, like, calling everybody out on his Netflix special. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard a lot of good things. And now South Park calling out, like, the royal family and calling out Kanye West and, like, just being honest about the whole thing. I'm like, there's some hope here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where the next couple of years go, actually, because as the economy just, like, falls apart, the culture is kind of like, I don't know, just realizing that the culture is falling apart and being like, hey, let's go back to being honest a little bit. I don't know. I'm seeing some glimmers of hope. Have you seen anything, Dave?
Yeah, I loved hanging out with Daywalker a couple of weeks ago. I thought that just a little bit of comedy, we were talking politics and shit, but yeah, man, I think there's absolute truth to that. And I think, like Dave Smith said, like as tyranny grew, like my audience grew. Like, of course,
Right.
there's going to be a backlash, nature finds a way, right? Like it's
Life.
life. That's right. Sorry. So yeah, I think that, yes, I'm hopeful. And I think that it'll be all right.
Yeah. And even if we all crash and burn tomorrow, there's going to be as long as a couple comedians wake up, so there's at least, some good jokes out of it. We got to get at least something out of this season finale. Like, bring all the heavy hitters, bring Louis C.K. out, fuck it, give Cosby another tour, let him come out and tell his best jokes, and, if we're all going to crash and burn anyway, let's get the best jokes out of this, in my opinion. But if you want the South Park recaps, like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're not going to do an after party today, but those all came out yesterday. You can get them in the Patreon and the Downers Club and all that, patreon.com/The System Is Down. And Dave, any final thoughts, anything you want to say before we give our plugs and go our merry ways?
Dude, I'm excited to see you going to more LP conventions. Florida is lucky to have you, and so is North Carolina.
Damn straight.
Yeah, our convention is coming up fairly soon in Delaware. We're going to have Maj Touré and Spike Cohen coming out for that one.
Nice.
We're gonna do a gun class in the middle of downtown Wilmington, Delaware. So that'll be fun. And so check that out. It's May 20th, and go follow
Everybody,
me on
bring out
YouTube.
your guns to Maj's gun class, and he'll show you how
It's
to shoot
in
them off in the streets.
what's it? I think it's One Love Park. I think it's like Bob Marley, like right in Bob Marley's old hood. He lived in Delaware for like 10 years. Concrete jungle, bro. So
cool.
we're gonna do it there. Unity is the name.
Love it. Love some of the stuff. Like I made that little promo video for the Mises Caucus tour coming up, and digging
Fantastic. Didn't even tell you that yet. Well,
Thank you.
so well done. Yeah.
Thank you. I totally forgot about that one until just now. But because like a week goes by and I like spent the entire weekend, I shot that tinfoil ad on Friday morning and edited it Friday evening and Saturday, and finished it Saturday. And I was like, yes, like I was so jazzed up about it because it was like a pet project because he told me to do what I want. So I wrote the script and did all the things, and it's at my house and everything. But I was pretty excited to wrap that up quickly. But the Mises Caucus video, making that and going in and getting to use some Maj clips. I don't think I've had a chance to dig into some of Maj's clips. I'm familiar with Maj and some of his interviews and stuff, but I'm always looking for like the spicy clips for the ads, and Maj has got some zingers, man.
Oh
He's got
man,
some good
that
shit.
opener with that was great. And you know what? I should mention that too, man. The Project Decentralized Revolution tour is pretty awesome and like a bold endeavor, I'd say, for the Mises Caucus to do, like right after they took over the political party. So I think it's a 6-city tour: the Chicago and Austin and California and New York, bunch of cities on there. So you guys should go check that out. Lots of people are showing up for that. Maj, Dave, Tom, go get tickets to that.
Agreed. Check it out. I'll play the ad. I don't think I have the hard drive connected that has that ad on it right now, but I can't play it. But I might be at a couple of those tour spots. We'll talk. We'll talk before then. But things are still in the works. But Dave, thank you so much for being here. Did you tell people where they could find you already? You did, didn't you? Or did you?
You can find me on YouTube, Dave versus Goliath. I'd appreciate the follows. And you know what? Go check out the last video on there because it's edited by Dan. And if I haven't told you in person yet, dude, that whole day.
We haven't talked since then, have we?
I know, man. It's been a rough one. A couple, sorry for missing. And that's another thing I wanted to say. Sorry to Brian Nichols for missing that for that whole episode.
Dude, he
that
was like
guy's
bitching about you the whole time off air. Like
I caught it
just
later. I
talking
watched
trash.
it.
Yeah.
He's
such a
great.
dick.
He's based and awesome. Apologize for that. And glad to be back.
Thank you. No. I mean, this can be a bit of an after party and talk about that because we were supposed to talk about it after the episode, but you had some other obligations, and which is totally fine. But that episode, it's because of you, man. It's because of the shit that you did, and I want to share the glory. I put it out while you were struggling, and I hope that it helped you. I hope that it brought you some joy because that was kind of the point of putting it out that day. In addition to it was good shit, and it was only good shit because of what you did, man.
Listen, I feel like I leveled up that day, and you made it even better than I could have done, and so I feel like real gratitude for that, man. And Yeah, I know it's been a couple weeks and we haven't talked a whole lot, but that means the world to me, dude. I can't wait to do more shit like that with you. And then we should hang soon. You know what I mean? Go do some stuff together. Maybe Pork Fest. Ah, I deserve it.
It didn't play full. There we go. Yeah, dude. Let's find some time this summer. We'll meet up at one of these things, or one way or another. Either way, we'll keep doing stuff. I'll do stuff on my end. You'll do stuff on your end. We'll collaborate and we'll make some hot shit. But yeah, man, thanks for being here today, and I'll see you soon. And to all of you in the chats. Oh shit. No, I meant to do fake super chats. Hold on, fake super chats. Brian Konkowski says fake super chat. Duncan Lemp rally March 12th, 100 Maryland Avenue, Rockville, Maryland, starting at 11 a.m. Yes, get
Brian's
some
a good
footage.
dude.
I don't know who. I don't know him. I don't know most people, but yeah, get some footage. Put it out. Do your thing. I'm not saying send it to me. I won't necessarily have time to work on it, but I'm spending some time. Like my goal for this summer and some of my speeches and stuff is really to encourage people to go do the thing yourself. Do what Dave did. Do what I'm doing. Build the culture just based on your own weird passions and things that excite you. Like if you're going to a big rally and you're like, man, somebody should be filming this. You have a phone. Just take it out and fucking do it. Take the human action. Make it happen. Joey Two Guns says, fake super chat. You know history. There is a large segment of people that will never see the truth because they don't want to. They worship their liars and their lies. Wow, my reading skills are on point today. Yes, that is absolutely true. If you have any thoughts on these, Dave, feel free to weigh in.
Okay.
And that's it. Just kidding. No, there's one more. Brian Konkowski says, fake super chat. Duncan Lemp rally, March 12th, 100 Maryland Avenue, Rockville, Maryland.
He's pushing it.
At 11 a.m. I might have went back and got a different one. I might have gotten mixed up here. Dave, thanks.
Thank you, bro.
We got the fake super
Good to be
chats
back.
Absolutely.
We handled it. Peace.
Yep. We'll see you next week, man. To all of you in the chats, thanks for being awesome. Jack is here. Everybody's here. Now that we're leaving, we're going to wrap it up. I hate to not do an after party today, but gotta go. I've done 2 drafts of a speech, and I'm going to go rewrite it again because I get really obsessive about things, and I'm gonna make something fun. And maybe I'll play it on the show after. Who knows? Who knows what'll come out of any of these events that I'm doing, but at the very least, whatever they hired me to do, and they're all a little bit different. I'm going to speak. We'll release things. We're gonna have some fun this summer. Where's my outro? Thank you all for being here. Thank you for having some fun with us and exploring these crazy, outlandish conspiracy theories about, like, the footage we just watched or the other footage we just watched. Those crazy things that definitely aren't true. Thank you for joining us for that. This title card is not going to be right at the end, but the music will be. So until next time, if you're coming to North Carolina, come hang out with me, and I'll be awkward around you. But if I won't see you until next Wednesday, until then, please continue to question everything. Stay uncomfortable. Know that you're being lied to. Your government doesn't love you. The system is down. Question everything. Goodbye.
Welcome to the system. Everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here is how the system. Violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemsdown for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.